The undecided or could not vote in the last election, and again, these are relatively high on the young people side of it, but there are probably numbers who interpret that question as they did not vote in the last election. So we can look at that as well. When we look at gender, there's a pretty even split for the individuals who voted for the PLP. For the FNM, there's a fairly equal split, with the females taking a higher vote. For the DNA, the male respondents were a bit higher, about twice as much as the female respondents for DNA. And could not vote in the last election, it was mostly female who either could not vote or did not vote in the last election. Now we will go to the fifth question and final question that we asked in the survey. And this question is, which party do you intend to vote for in the upcoming general election? Overwhelming majority in parties say FNM, but one of the things that surprises and is trending is there's a huge undecided population as well. And so the politicians can read in that how they wish, but there's a majority of individuals equivalent to who's intending to vote for the PLP that are saying that they're undecided at this time. So we look at the breakdown. The PLP, the age group, was fairly high. The FNM, there was a distribution in that age group. The DNA, there's a distribution among the ages. The UDP, there was one individual who was an older individual. Then when you look at the undecided, again, that's a pretty good distribution over the age group. So what this is telling us is that when you look at Bahamians who are undecided, it ranges from the young vote all the way up to the older folks that are looking to vote this time in the election. So that's just a basic summary of what we have collected so far from a data standpoint. One of the things I would caution everybody in this room is the sample size is not large enough to be representative of the population. From our perspective, we think we want to get a sample size of somewhere between 400 to 500 individuals at a minimum. So what we would like to have happen is for everybody in this room, all of your friends, all of your colleagues, to take that poll. And it's a very simple thing to do. You can do it in less than 5 minutes. You go to either the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store, put in Mobile Assist, one word, MOBILEASSIST. Download the app, register the app. Once you've registered in the app, then the app will automatically send you a notification and you can go ahead and take the poll. What we've also done is we put forth a second poll, and that second poll is based on your views, people who are seeing it in Facebook Live, people who are here live, of exactly what the panelists said in response to the questions that were asked, and whether or not you gained a better understanding of the justice system. So we would encourage you, after this event, to go ahead and actually complete that poll as well. One of the things that we're working on with the university, because technically the polls were created by the university, the data belongs to the university. They will decide how and when this data will be published for public consumption and discussion. So that's essentially the end of my presentation. I'm not here to take Q&A, so I'm going to turn it over to the moderators so we can hear from our panelists. Thank you very much.
My name is Michael Stevenson. I'm an associate professor at the university, and I have the distinct pleasure to introduce the panelists tonight. And I should be calling them the political respondents. And following my welcome, I will be asking Dr. Peter Maynard to welcome you here as well. So, and I will ask the political respondents, as I call them, to sit to my far right, coming towards the mic. So the first person I'd like to sort of introduce as a political respondent tonight is the Senator Honorable Keith Bell. Mr. Bell is representing the Progressive Liberal Party, and he's a candidate for Carmichael. The second political respondent is Mr. Marvin Dames. He is the political respondent representing the Free National Movement, and he's a candidate for Mount Moriah. The third political respondent is Mr. Stephen Greenslade, representing the Democratic National Alliance, and a candidate for Golden Isles. I'd like to now welcome to the panel Ms. Sharelle Ali McIntosh, She is the founder and visionary of the Bahamas Constitution Party. I have the distinct pleasure to invite up here Mr. Alex Morley. He is the leader of the African People's Socialist Party. And now I call upon Mr. Gregory Moss. He's the leader of the United Democratic Party and the MP for Marco City. Mr. Moss. Okay. Next person is Reverend Andrew Stewart. Is he here tonight? He's the chairman of the Bahamas National Coalition Party and the candidate for Freetown. Just before I turn the mic over to Dr. Peter Maynard, two of the questions tonight will be generated from the audience. So I'm going to invite you to put your hand up if you have a question that you would like to ask. It's not a given that your question will be asked, because we have Dr. Adele Thomas and Dr. Nico Bethel, who will be deciding amongst the questions that are given to them which two will be asked. Okay, so as we proceed tonight, and you want to get your question in the pool of questions, just raise your hand or identify yourselves to my two colleagues at the back of the room. So I have the pleasure now to invite my assistant, Hyla Basden. Hyla is a former student, well, she's a student at the College of the Bahamas, and she's hopefully going off to study international relations at Columbia and John Hopkins, one of those, or which one? Georgetown. Yeah, Georgetown University. Thanks.
Good night. My name is Kyla Basden. I will be your student moderator for this event. Right now, I would like to invite Dr. Peter Maynard to the podium. Dr. Maynard will bring us the introduction for tonight's town hall, and he will also be framing the topic under discussion. So please welcome Dr. Peter Maynard.
Good evening. Let me congratulate the organizers, and may I take it that the protocol has already been established. I've been asked to mention, I should mention that there is space outside here. There's some empty seats, and there's also a screen, so the proceedings can also be viewed just outside this door. And there's also the seating as well as a television screen. So you needn't stand up, those can sit. Lawlessness, firearms use, drug trafficking, corruption, indiscipline, materialism, high materialism, low self-esteem, high population densities in Nassau, too many bars and liquor stores, squalid neighborhoods, babies having babies, domestic violence, a drop in social responsibility and work ethic, a lack of national pride, an entrenched class of underachievers, substance abuse, a pervasive, I quote, a pervasive culture of dishonesty, greed, and casual disregard for social norms and regulation. That's a quote from the Chief Justice of Burton Hall in 1998. Antisocial behavior of various kinds. Should we have an environmental court to deal with illegal dumping and littering? We say the Bahamas is clean, green, and pristine. Socialization, how to deal with anger. Do our children know how to deal with anger in our schools? How to parent. These are themes which have been reported upon over and over on the subject of crime, which is so important and rightly deserves being the very first subject of the series of town halls. Because we've had the 1984 Commission of Inquiry on Drug Trafficking, we've had the 1994 Task Force on Education, the 1998 National Crime Commission, the 2003 Prison Reform Commission, the 2008 House Select Committee on Crime. We also now have the National Development Plan. Bahamians do not feel safe in their homes. Some crime hotspots are known. It is said that a small group of young repeat offenders carry out the most violent crimes. Perhaps tougher penalties are needed for illegal gun possession. Do police have to return to the schools? Isn't better witness protection needed? An intense and sustained focus on young people is required in order to engage them in constructive career-building activities. A national youth service should be implemented to build our youth and our communities. The use of technology to detect crime. To what extent should government eavesdrop, not just on social media, but on our conversations? Should drones be employed in crime fighting? Is an improved forensic lab necessary? Is national security surveillance needed? A national spy agency? And how best can this be accomplished and paid for? In the area of prosecution, more legally trained officers are needed. I'm pleased to say that we in the law department have trained more and more police officers. Improved investigations, but also better decision-making regarding charges. Poor charges lead to low conviction rates. Assessment by lawyer police officers of evidence collected by investigators should improve the chances of success. Bail, parole, the death penalty. Urban renewal is also widely considered to be a constructive achievement. Can better use be made of that? I've been asked to frame the discussion, and I would frame it in terms of 8 themes. I'd ask the panelists to think of and comment on 8 themes. Firstly, prevention of crime. Secondly, investigation. Thirdly, prosecution. Fourthly, administration of justice. Fifth, punishment. 6, rehabilitation. 7, dispute resolution. And lastly, restorative justice. Comment finally on those last 2, dispute resolution and restorative justice. Are we not in a situation where people no longer settle the disputes by talking to each other, but rather they resort to violence? And so dispute resolution can be so important. Indeed, I have advocated the establishment of a center, not just for commercial matters, but also for community mediation to deal with disputes within our communities. That's what I suggest might be Urban Renewal 3.0. But in addition to community mediation,